Tonight, our exclusive interview with embattled Republican Congressman George Santos. He has pleaded not guilty to 13 federal charges. Those charges include fraud related to COVID-19 unemployment benefits, misusing campaign funds, and lying about his personal finances on House disclosure reports. He is also under investigation by the House Ethics Committee. Despite all this, Santos says he is not resigning and he is running for re-election next year. And he has joined some of his Republican colleagues in calling for Biden's impeachment. Calls that House Speaker Kevin McCarthy finally caved to today, announcing an impeachment inquiry. And Congressman George Santos joins me now. And Congressman, I appreciate your time tonight. I want to start with the news from Speaker McCarthy. You put out a statement today about it, and you said, quote, in part, "I have yet to receive any reports of sufficient evidence worthy of impeachment coming from the three House committees investigating President Biden. Yet I know that you support McCarthy in his call to begin the impeachment inquiry." How come?
Well, it's very simple. The process can't be cheapened. We can't allow us to do the same mistakes that former Speaker Pelosi did and just bulldoze through an impeachment without any credible evidence. The American public is already fractured and sick and tired of that. So that's why I've been a no impeachment without impeachment inquiry, period, and I've drawn that line. I'm happy to see the Speaker today come out, putting out the process, laying out the process, so the American people can have transparency into it and that we can mount evidence. And if we do find enough sufficient evidence to go and impeach the president, it is with a heavy heart that I will cast a vote to impeach the president.
But if there's no reports of sufficient evidence worthy of impeachment now, why support an impeachment inquiry?
Well, because I think we need to broaden the scope for the committee so that they can continuously dig deeper. Look, if you were to compare us to the former speaker, she didn't allow the process to play out. She just went and used whatever her assumptions were and that the majority at the time's assumptions were to be gospel, and they went ahead and rammed through an impeachment, which was very partisan on the first one, and then on the second one, you get something that was unprecedented. So we don't need that. We want to fix the precedent and make sure that we uphold this to the seriousness that impeachment actually is.
Of course, this is partisan. I mean, it will be along party lines. But also, I know Speaker McCarthy at the time when Speaker Pelosi had announced an inquiry, he was very upset, said it was a dark day for the rule of law because she did so unilaterally without a full House vote. That, of course, is exactly what he has done today. And I want to play for you what he said at the time about the House Speaker, then House Speaker Pelosi's move.
Make no mistake, yesterday was a dark day for America. It was a dark day for the rule of law that the Speaker of the House would claim a president violated the law without ever having any information to judge it on.
Now, though, Congressman McCarthy is doing exactly that, launching an impeachment inquiry without, as you yourself said, having sufficient evidence worthy of impeachment. Why is today not a dark day for the rule of law?
Well, I think it's amazing when I see networks like CNN, they love to criticize Republicans when they do exactly what the Democrats did. I don't recall seeing CNN's outrage when Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, then did it. So I think she set the precedent. He's just following in her footsteps. I guess it's eye for an eye at this point. Look,
I guess
was
just
always
take
in
a step
favor
back,
of the
though.
process.
I understand your point, eye for an eye, but if someone says it's a dark day for the rule of law, why is the right thing to do to say, oh, well, when I have the power, I'm cool with a dark day for the rule of law?
Look, it's not like he paraded in excitement and was cheering on what his decision. It wasn't a decision he took lightly. I'm not here to speak for him, but I support his decision. I support his efforts because if we're going to be completely honest, we have to have CNN bring Joe Biden on the network and grill him. Put him through the tough questions, Aaron. I challenge you to do that. The American people deserve to see reporters like yourself, bring them on to networks like CNN, and let's grill the president like you guys grilled Donald Trump for 4 years he was in office. I think it's very fair to go grill Joe Biden. Joe Biden has a Trevor trove, starting with his son, Hunter Biden, cocaine in the White House, laptops from hell, all these things, and none of this is spoken about on your network.
Well, that's not true. It's all actually spoken about on the network, and certainly is on this
Aaron?
program. But let me just ask you, because I'm back to the very fundamental point here. In the moment that we're in, does the evidence exist for an impeachment inquiry? Republican Congressman Ken Buck, your colleague, Congressman Santos, has opposed the push to impeaching Biden. He was very direct. Here's what he said.
The time for impeachment is the time when there's evidence linking President Biden, if there's evidence linking President Biden to a high crime or misdemeanor. That doesn't exist right now.
So what do you say to him?
Well, I agree with him. Right now, we don't have sufficient proof to impeach him, but we have sufficient evidence and sufficient leads to go do an inquiry, and that's exactly what we're doing. I think what you're confusing the American people with the point you're trying to convey is that we don't have sufficient avenues to go investigate and look into the president, which clearly, as clear as day, is we have sufficient avenues to go down and see what Hunter did, when Hunter did it, what the president knew, what did he do when he knew. Nobody can explain how Hunter Biden, with no experience, ends up on the board of Burisma at the time that his father is vice president of the United States. Those are all valid questions the American people deserve answers to.
So you support Speaker McCarthy. You're making it clear. It does come, of course, as no surprise. Congressman, he could call for an expulsion vote for you. He holds your fate in his hands. And so I wanted to play something for you to have a chance to respond to. This is an exchange between the Speaker and Manu Raju. This was on May 10th. Let me play it for you.
Santos said today he's running for re-election. Are you going to support him? You're not.
Okay. When is the last time you spoke to Speaker McCarthy, Congressman?
I mean, look, I speak to the Speaker when deemed appropriate and when needed, and I have a great relationship with him. I think he's a fantastic leader for the conference, and I stand by that. Now, he might have a difference of opinion whether I should run for re-election or not, but quite frankly, that's up to me, not to him or anyone else in this body.
Are you confident that he stands behind you right now, separate from re-election, that he stands behind you staying in your seat right now?
Well, he believes in process, and I believe that I'm entitled to the same process as every single American is in this country. I'm going through the process, and I'm standing strong doing that. But it's amazing that every single time I come on networks, I do interviews with you guys, it seems to be the same questions that I've answered on and on again. It seems that you guys in the mainstream media don't want to see a process. You want to see this the gun jumped and making a hasty decision against myself. So look, I can never win the argument with you guys, but I can say one thing is, I'm entitled to that same process that Joe Biden is entitled, that Donald Trump was entitled to, but Donald Trump was denied, and Joe Biden is being given all sorts of grace.
Well, and certainly I see it that we're giving you the opportunity to tell your side of the story and give your point of view. McCarthy has said that he's waiting for the results of the House Ethics Committee, specifically their investigation to you, specifically as to whether he would call for your expulsion or anything else, right? The committee there has expanded its investigation into you after you were charged by the Justice Department. Do you have any idea where that investigation stands tonight?
Absolutely not. And even if I did, it would be irresponsible for me to share it on national television because it can disrupt the investigation. So the reality is nobody's going to speak on an ongoing investigation of this nature.
Would you resign if the committee concludes that you committed wrongdoing?
Look, I think that the committee should be very wary about making any hasty decision. That's been my entire case in point with everything going on. The DOJ has their case. I think that it would be very irresponsible for the committee to have one conclusion and then something else play out in court. So my answer to your question, no.
So I've mentioned, and you just mentioned, of course, the federal government. You've been charged with 13 counts by the federal government. Prosecutors wrote in a recent filing that you and the government, and I quote, Congressman, are engaged in discussions regarding possible paths forward in this matter. Possible paths forward. Do you know what that means? Are you negotiating a deal with the feds?
There is no talks of negotiation, and the reality is, for me to even get into the weeds of it would cheapen also, again, my ability to defend myself. But I can say one thing to you. Why don't you go ask the DOJ what they meant by the letter? The letter was submitted by them, not by my counsel.